Hey. We're late again, I know. It's obviously a recurring theme of, you know, these anniversary videos, or just videos in general, being so late from the time that they're either recorded or, I just want to get this out early as possible. I should work on that. Anyway, as you've seen from the title, today is the 80th anniversary of the Battle of the Bulge, which happened in World War II. Battle of the Bulge was from December 16th, 1944 to January 25th, 19... I keep stumbling on my words. I always do that. Ever since like last year or something. To January 25th, 1945. So, the Battle of the Bulge, why was it called the Bulge? Well, because the Battle of the Bulge was the last major, or last German counteroffensive of World War II. A counteroffensive to like fight back instead of just defend. And it looked like, and how they did it, it looked like a bulge when they like completed it. So it was kind of like this. It was sticking out of Germany, like the German controlled areas, which was just basically Germany at that point. The purpose of this was to slow down the Allies, get to a port city in Belgium called Antwerp, and it was supposed to cut the Allies off between the Americans and the British, because the British were more up north in the Netherlands, and the Americans were more down south, mostly, and cut them off, sever their supply lines. There are a bunch of like supply depots in Antwerp, take their supplies, refurbish the German army, and force the Allies to surrender. To negotiate peace, and not surrender, to negotiate peace, I mean. And then they could focus on the Soviets in the East, which are just pressing on them. But seeing how they started with 200,000, around 200,000, 200,000 to 400,000, it varies, depends on the source. Well, seeing how they only had that many soldiers and 1,000 tanks, compared to the Allies, 2 to 4 million soldiers in West Europe. That was a really ambitious plan. But it's all of West Europe, so like France and I don't want to say Belgium and Luxembourg and Netherlands, because that's the main area. Well, other troops in France as well, stationed around. So basically, let's just put it at like 1 million in that area, general area, right? And so, yeah. So when they first started their counteroffensive, they kind of like went like a maneuver, like 2 lines, I guess we would say, encircled an American division stationed in Belgium. Take note, this happened in like the east of Belgium, bordering Germany and the northern part of Luxembourg. So they did that. They encircled the division of American soldiers. They encircled another division, and then by the time the Allies got there, the Germans have created a bulge. But the Allies arrived with 700,000 soldiers within like a few days, I would say. And they also had like 1,000 tanks as well. So, anyways, back to what I was saying before. About the so they had created a bulge, right? And like the other American division that was encircled, the second one, they also freed that one as well. Like like they cut through the German lines and freed that one that was still like surrounded. And over the course of 41 days, they kept pushing the Germans back. Each side lost about like 800 tanks. The Germans lost 1,000 aircraft, and they also lost 100,000 soldiers. Meanwhile, the Allied forces suffered about 80,000 casualties, which means wounded or killed, and others captured. Casualties and captured. So, at the end of, the battle on January 25th, 1945, the Bulge has now returned to the original spot where the Germans started their counteroffensive. So the Bulge was no longer there. So the Battle of the Bulge, or just the Bulge, had ended. It was called the Ardennes, not the Ardennes, the Ardennes offensive. By official, as an offensive, but that was the battle that it was. So the operation name was called, for the Germans, the operation name was called Watch on the Rhine. To so the Allies, when they figure it out, they wouldn't know what that means. But yeah, that's the Battle of the Bulge, 80 years ago on this day, 80th anniversary. Because it's this time, the 9, the 0, the 1, the 2, 3, 4, 5. That's this time. It's the 80 years is coming by, and the next 10 years, it's going to be the 90 years. And the next 10 years, it's going to be 100 years. So that's it for today's video. Goodbye.